Well, welcome in to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue. My name is Landon, and today's episode is a special one, man, as we kind of have a rundown of all the assistant coaches at Mississippi State's Media Day. And so, you can go through and watch every single interview, in its full length. I'm sure that's available out there too. But I just went ahead and condensed them down for you. So I have each interview is kind of condensed down outside of Coleman Hutzler. He's the first one that spoke today, this morning to us. And that's the longest one. I think it's 10 minutes or so. But some of the questions that you would think to ask, I think were asked there, at least the ones that you'd ask that are reasonable. We'll put it like that. Really excited, man, to get into that. I think there's several things to unpack from all of the coaches today. So some of the different things that kind of snuck through that I thought were interesting. And so we will get to that once I finish up here. And again, just kind of saw just some glimpses. I mean, you can't get a ton out of every single coach, but I do think that we got small glimpses. Like, just to give an example, co-defensive coordinator / safeties coach Matt Barnes was speaking, and he was talking about, basically kind of hinting at the pass rush last year being non-existent and how much that hindered the corners, or pardon me, the secondary last season, which is kind of like a duh thing to say. Like, of course, we all know that, but it was interesting to kind of hear how he put it into perspective. He heard from the new defensive ends coach Vincent Dancy, who, if you know, was with Coach Deion Sanders last season, was the head coach of Mississippi Valley State. Heard from him. Was really impressed by him. And, he mentioned there's so many different people to choose from. Of course, heard from David Turner, the defensive line coach, who mentioned Jamil Burrows is kind of this guy that everyone's rooting for, but mentioned, he had some moments of where he plays really impressive a couple of plays on, and then, almost non-existent a couple of plays off. So got some interesting tidbits all throughout that I thought were really interesting. Also, Coach Matt Holacek, the quarterback's coach, mentioned that Kamario Taylor, he came in 195, 200 pounds, and now is 225 playing the position. Just adds even more lore to the Kamario Taylor, kind of legacy already starting in Starkville. We also asked some questions about Blake Shapen, kind of the play style. Have been talking to him about that to make the play style less aggressive, to keep him healthy as long as we can. And so anyway, we will get into all of those. The only coaches that do not have on video here are two: tight ends coach John Cooper and cornerbacks coach Corey Bell. Neither of them were up there very long, but I was dealing with some other stuff during those two periods. But every other coach is there, and like I said, I have condensed versions for you here in this video. But I did want to make sure that we bring attention to our wonderful sponsors, our presenting sponsor, Heath Riles Barbecue. Man, Heath Riles is the man. And look, it's almost football season. You need Heath Riles. Heath Riles is home to award-winning rubs, seasonings, sauces, glazes, you name it. He is created by 2025 Memphis and May Grand Champion and 81-time Grand Champion Heath Riles. His products are trusted by pit masters and backyard cooks alike, just like me, for bold flavor and winning results. And here's the deal: you can shop the full lineup of Heath Riles Barbecue at his website or at all the different retailers, over 15,000 retailers nationwide. But we'll save you some money. Go to HeathRilesBarbecue.com, enter promo code DAWGS10 at checkout, DAWGS10, and get 10% off today, tomorrow, the next day. Also, man, had some wonderful coffee this morning from Arepas there in the heart of the Cotton District. Jose and his family love Starkville, and they also love you guys. So make sure you go in there and support them. Grab a delicious Venezuelan coffee. Grab some great food and just great vibes. There's nothing like an evening in the Cotton District sipping some coffee. So, man, make sure you also can get 15% off each and every time you go in there and mention that you're a listener of the show. So we think Arip is there in the heart of the Cotton District. Also, man, with all the different coaches that we saw today, it's kind of funny. Someone was talking about one of the coaches from last year that Mississippi State that's no longer at State now, and he took a year off from coaching, and kind of thought about it. We're like, man, he's still getting paid. He's just kind of chilling and hanging out. He's still in Starkville. And I just thought, man, what a great life that is. I mean, really think about it. Being a coach, being a fired SEC coach, pretty good gig. I mean, you can just sit there collecting checks, and you know what? You might even end up becoming rich. But what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number, more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Edward Jones financial advisor serving clients in the area and across the state of Mississippi. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love. Because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843. And together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. The last thing I'll say before I'll move on so you can actually hear the coaches talk. Chad Bumpus mentioned how impressed he is with this room. And I got to tell you, I'm buying into some of the hype of Brennan Thompson based upon all the things that Coach Levy mentioned at SEC Media Days, just talking to him myself at SEC Media Days, and then also how Chad Bumpus is really impressed with him as well. A really, really fast guy. Bumpus said he's a very, very fast human being, and very excited to see him in this particular offense. You know, there was also some questions about Kevin Coleman, and you know he mentioned that Kevin, you know, he wished him well, but like Kevin wanted to go home, and that was fine. And so they brought in some new talent, and so there's so many different wide receivers to get to know in this offense. And then the last note I have before we move on is the amount of bodies that are on the offensive line for Coach Phil Lodeholt. I mean, he mentioned there's so many different people to choose from. I think Blake Steen, the transfer from Virginia, is going to be kind of a mainstay. Kobe Keenum's the first name he mentioned there at center, the redshirt freshman from Mars Hill up there in, is it Florence or Prattville? It's North Alabama. I just can't think of the high school location. But anyway, Kobe Keenum, the transfer from Kentucky, who was recruited to state, and anyway, he's back here. He's a guy that seems to be impressive. But then also Cannon Boone's another guy that seems to be flexible on the O line. Last thing I want to mention about Chad Bumpus. Chad Bumpus mentioned that Ricky Johnson, the wide receiver, has had the biggest jump from year one to year two. So, I mean, there's so many, and then we're not talking about, you know, Ant Evans, Aiden Williams. Like, there's so many, Jordan Mosley. There's so many different pieces on this team and so many different names to get to know. So, without further ado, we'll get you into the coach interviews here. Stick with us. Also, sorry about the camera situation. Just kind of trying out a couple different things before we get started with football season here right around the corner. And I did want to mention, I'll mention this again on Thursday, but whenever we get into August, we're going to 3 episodes a week. 3 episodes a week. So that won't start this week. I'll start the week after that, because that's how we know football season's actually here. So as always, thank you guys so much for listening to My Dogs Pod on MPW Digital, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue. Let's get into first hearing from Coleman Hutzler.
Coach, just now that you have a chance to look at spring and go through the summer, talking to the guys, what's your outlook on the defense this year?
Very excited. You know, obviously excited about the additions we were able to make in January and through the recruiting cycle, both, you know, portal and high school. Get those 15 practices in spring ball. You get a feel for where you're at and what you have. We got a ton of improvement to make through fall camp, but very excited.
You obviously had a ton of changeover, and you guys brought in a lot of depth at different positions. But what's the biggest difference you think in this defense this year as opposed to last year and what you saw?
I think it starts up front. You know, in this league and really just in the game of football in general, you've got to be able to win up front. And say it all the time. People say it, big people beat up little people, and you know, it starts with your D-line. So we were able to add a ton of depth and a ton of great pieces on the interior as well as edge players and pass rushers, and so excited about that.
When you evaluated the defense last season, what were some of the things you noticed that caused some of the issues you guys had defensively?
You know, we talk a lot about effort, technique, and execution. Those are our 3 core values for us as a defense. I was proud of our effort throughout most of the year. You look at from game 1 to game 12, our effort never wavered. And to be able to do that through a tough season says a lot about our players, their identity, what they believe in. The technique and the execution is where we got to make, you know, those improvements. And so that's been our focus through the offseason. You look, you know, at the offseason as a chance to reflect on the season before and, you know, attack the things you need to attack. And really the technique and execution were the big part.
Off the field, you guys brought in Coach McIntyre and Coach Rhodes. How do they kind of factor into your operation now?
Great resources for me. You know, former head coaches, former defensive coordinators, great minds in the game of football, been doing it a long time. And so for me, they've been great resources to lean on, as well as our staff and our players in general. they're able to coach the players and interact throughout all three levels, and so they've been a huge addition.
The addition of Coach Dancy, you were talking about the defensive line. How has he and Coach Turner, what have they changed up front working together now?
Yeah, I mean, the way we've split it, Coach Dancy has the defensive ends and the jack, the outside linebacker, for us, and Coach Turner has the interior guys. They work well together. Coach Dancy's been a great addition, done a great job with our players, had a great spring, saw great improvement from a lot of guys who we're going to need to take a big step forward, this fall, and saw a jump in our pass rush and just the production there through the spring. So excited to get Coach Dancy back, home in Mississippi, and for him to be a part of our staff.
You've been coaching for a long time, but this is your second year being the full-time defensive coordinator. Is there anything personally that you feel more confident in going into this season as opposed to last?
Yeah, I mean, you learn every year, right, that you do this, and so when you look at, from one year to the next, you evaluate what you did well, what your struggles were, and so you're constantly learning and in a constant state of hunger to learn and to improve. So definitely things that I took away. I think definitely things that our defense and our players are excited to improve on from last year.
Is there anything that changes for y'all defensively this year, specifically maybe up front, or do y'all plan on using more 4-down linemen, or what's that alignment look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we have the ability with our jack outside linebackers, Brandon Jennings, right, Malik Silla, the guys that we've added, to be able to play both 3-down and 4-down. And so, we're going to continue to do that. You sit in one front all year long, you're a sitting duck. So we're got to be able to change the front up, both on the offensive line, on the quarterback, and change the picture. So we're going to continue to be multiple.
Just our spring observations there in the casual. It looked like the defense is a little faster than last year, not taking away from the guys you had last year, but the speed seemed to be. Is that physical, or is it just more knowledge of the system?
I think it's growth through everything, right? You grow through the additions we made in the portal. You grow through another winter conditioning and summer conditioning and another season with Coach Schad and his staff down in the weight room. So it's hard to say one thing, but we've gotten bigger and gotten faster, like you said.
Pass rush was a real issue last year. You went out in the portal and kind of addressed that. Based on your own spring observations, how do you feel about the progress in that respect?
Very excited. Very excited about our ability, to get to the quarterback, to affect the quarterback. We brought in several guys, like you mentioned, that have those natural skill sets, both on the edges at defensive end and jack, linebacker, but also interior rushers. And so, all four guys, when rushing the quarterback, got to work together. And we can create pressure from both inside and outside.
What's the health like on your group right now?
Health, good. I'm excited. We feel like we're in a really good spot. Hopefully, stay that way, and that's huge in fall camp and as you're building up to the season. But really excited about it.
You're fortunate to have a lot of older players and some depth at those positions, but is there an opportunity for some of those younger guys that have really kind of stood out to you to get on the field early, some of the freshmen maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I've told freshmen everywhere I've been, if you can help us win, you're going to play, right? And so I don't care how old you are or how young you are, if you have the ability and show the, ability through practice and through scrimmages and all those things to help us win football games, why wouldn't I play you? And so age is really just a number, and if a guy continues to show from spring ball to now, or a guy that even got here in the summer that he can help us win, we're going to put him in a position to do so.
Anybody that's impressed you so far in that regard, some of those freshmen?
No, I mean, I think the guys that came in mid-year, that's a great head start for them. The opportunity to come in and get a winter workouts and get 15 practices under your belt. Get the install, get all those things. That puts you in a position and sets you up to have a chance. And the guys that got here this summer, we'll see how they do. They had a great summer. How do they take on all the things when you start putting the pads on and installing and all that?
Going back through our spring interviews and summer interviews with guys, one of the constant themes they said that you stressed to them is we can't go 2-10 again. Is that what you've been pushing with the guys?
the off season is a time through winter, through spring, to reflect on the season before, right? The message, today, right, as we come in and going forward is all about going forward. We're not looking back. We did that. We evaluated what the good and the bad was from a year ago.
Man, just to
we made the correction.
take the cake, Brandon Jennings.
both as players,
He's a guy
as a roster,
been a lot of
everything.
places.
Now it's
played a
about,
lot of snaps last year,
it's about going
and
forward.
was
And so
productive for the most
that's
part.
our
I
mindset.
thought he played too many snaps, but at the end of the day,
Who are
man,
some of
he
the
was
guys
the
that people
anchor.
have
He was the
big
bread and
impacts
butter
in
of the
terms of
defense,
pass
and I
rush
get it.
this season?
But then
Yeah,
you go and
it-
get a
it's,
Malik Silver,
there's several names.
Nave
there's,
Sanders.
guys returning in
Champ
terms
out of
of
Colleen.
Brandon Jennings and
so
Deontay
the
Anderson.
quality of depth that we
When you
have
look
at
the
that
guys we
position,
added,
man, it's just gonna bring the
so
best out of the
is,
guys because it's about
Nave
competition.
Sanders,
And everybody in that
Jamil
room,
on the
man,
inside,
we got a
Ray Bledsoe,
senior-led room, a lot of guys in that
there's
room,
guys in Red
and there's
Hill,
only one that
Will
can start the
Woodson.
game.
There's
But
a
we
lot
talking
of
about
names, man,
we talk
and
about
that's a
finishing the
good
game,
thing.
and we don't know who will
And,
finish the game,
excited
but you have to
see
put yourself
who
in
out-
position in
goes
order
out
for me to
and
trust you
earns,
to finish the
the
game.
starting jobs,
And
but
it could be
also,
any of those guys.
with
That's how
that
much
depth,
trust I have in this
now we
room
can roll guys
because
in.
we led by so many seniors, and everybody has had an opportunity to play meaningful football.
Yeah, I mean, he's a
you weren't here
workhorse,
last
right?
year,
He loves
so
it,
I don't know what
loves the
your
game,
knowledge
plays the
is
game
on
the right
that
way,
defense last
practices
year.
the
I'm sure
game the
you've
right
seen
way, and so
tape and
we
stats and
have
stuff
to be
like
smart
that.
in
Pass
terms of
rush
his
was just a
workload
major
and his
issue.
capacity, 'cause he's
How
a
much
big
different
guy.
do you feel like this team is
And
going
so,
to be? in
that's
that
on us,
regard,
right?
and
That's on
especially
him. And
the
he's
emphasis
also
on
a
adding
year
those
older and mature
maybe those
and
pass
knows,
rush specialists.
how to communicate.
Yeah,
when
I watched
maybe
last year,
or something.
but to me, last year don't even matter. I don't even bring it up to the guys,
Going forward here,
but
the season.
I understand how important it is. If you understand what I'm saying, last year is so important, but it's not important to these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I
because,
recruited
man,
Stockton
half of
High
these guys
School
weren't even here
at
last
another
year,
place.
including myself.
I
But
played
it's
Stockton
important
High
for us to turn this thing around and generate more pressure on the quarterback.
Even last year when he was playing
I came from Colorado, man, and that was our thing, was applying pressure on the quarterback, getting off the ball, causing
he's done a
chaos
great
in the
job.
backfield.
He's done a
And
great
that's what
job
I'm looking to
making the
bring, and
transition.
those are the things that we
It's an
emphasized the day
unselfish
that I
thing
got
for
here.
somebody to do that, right?
And it translated through winter to the spring, and now, man, we just got to take it up another level for the fall, because we have to get after the quarterback. We have to generate pressure on the QB in order for those guys in the back end to feel safe.
Class last year, and we all know about the recruitment that he had and all. But from terms of him just picking up, what you're putting down right now. I mean, what have you seen from him in the spring and in the summer so far?
Yeah, he had a great spring, and really when you look at his spring, he got better and better every practice, right? And went out, had a really good spring game, and had a good scrimmage before that towards the end. So, more and more comfort by him, just in the system and in the scheme and the things we're asking him to do. A little, maybe different from what he did at Winona. So, excited about his future. What that future looks like and the immediate playing time and all that's up to him and his ability to show it not only to me but to his teammates as well.
So I think the experience piece and the development piece will allow us to start a little stronger.
Fluff is a younger guy in that room, but what does he bring personally to the running back room?
Like I said, his personality fits who we are as a culture. He's got a ton of energy. He's the same guy every day, consistent. He's always smiling, wants to be coached hard. Yes, sir, no, sir. No entitlement or any of that type of deal. He fits our workman, kind of blue collar, dirty hard work in the dark type of mentality. But he's got a ton of energy. He's always smiling. He's young, so you realize that, and he's really playful a lot. Really smart, really sharp, especially for a young guy. But just really, I think he really fit into our locker room and who we are as an organization, from the strength and conditioning staff to our room with our team. He's been a great addition to our team.
Do you think your group's going to have a much bigger role in the passing game this year?
I think that game plans will dictate that. I think we're capable. I think the guys who've returned have shown that they're capable, and you like to see them take the next step and being able to do those things. It's really like we want to be proficient and great with whatever the game plan calls for us to do, so that we don't have to do something else because we can't.
Yeah, I mean, definitely some things we needed to get cleaned up on defense, and you know, it's a Jimmy's and Joe's game, not an X and O's game. So getting the right guys in the right place is the name of the game, and I think we did a nice job. Coach Turner, Coach Dancy, and Coach Hutzler, and everybody involved did a nice job bolstering the front in the off season, which is what we needed to get done. And when they don't have long to throw it, we tend to cover better on the back end. So it works hand in hand.
I talked to Isaac Smith at Media Days. I told him he's probably the only college football player in the country who wants to have less stats this year than he had the season before. How do you keep his impact on the game high while maybe seeing him have fewer tackles per game?
Yeah. I mean, Isaac will always be right in the middle of it. You know, the thing from a coaching standpoint, or those of us that are living it on a day-to-day, is there's so much value that you can add beyond just the production sheet that you see Saturday after the game. You know, I think that's at every level. There's a safety or a linebacker that's out there that maybe he didn't make, you know, 9 tackles or whatever, but he's making sure that everybody's lined up in the right place, and he's alerting the defense to what the offense is likely to do, and et cetera. So, I mean, there's so many ways to be a productive player without it necessarily translating to you know, the statistical categories. And Isaac will always have that benefit. You know, he's just such a cerebral player. Works really hard at the game. Always super well prepared. He's a good quarterback of the defense.
Where do you foresee his role this year? Obviously, he's a versatile guy. Isaac, that can play different spots.
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it. I think it's versatile. I think it's different spots. I think, you know, the name of the game on defense is to try to make the offense left-handed. And when we can put Isaac in a position that tilts things in our favor, that's what we're going to do. It's all speculative at this point, as you know, we got to go to training camp and see what shakes out. At the end of the day, it's, you know, Coach Hutzler leads the charge, but it's our job as a staff to make sure we have the best players on the field doing what they do best.
What goes into developing a room when you have so many new guys coming in and haven't played together before?
You have to establish work ethic, number one, how we go about things. Hopefully you get guys that are motivated and want to do well, want to perform well. You know, this day of NIL has changed the game. So, you know, guys in the past were trying to get to the league. Now guys getting money, and, you know, we kind of joke around. Hey, check your ego and your checks at the door. You know, you got to come in and work every day and grind. There is no shortcuts. There are no easy way. We can't cut corners. It's one way of doing things up front, and guys have to embrace that.
What are you hoping to just accomplish in this month before the season starts?
Well, I mean, obviously we got to get better. It's always about fundamentals and doing the little things better and knowing what to do and how to do it and executing, and then playing with effort. So it's a combination of all those things.
And I hope it doesn't happen, but if it were, do you have an idea right now who would be the backup behind him?
Yeah, I mean, that's not for me to comment on. I'll defer to Coach Lev on any of those kind of questions.
Coach Levy mentioned that he talked with Blake a lot in the spring about his play style and hoping he would stay healthy. Have you had some of those conversations with him as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think the conversation is about, like, when you have a moment to choose, like, there are times where you don't have a moment to choose between what's more valuable, a yard or taking a hit. But there are definitely moments where he's got to make the decision to get down and or get out of bounds or whatever that looks like. And I think no, that conversation is constant. Like, you can talk about, like, the beauty of practice is that he doesn't get hit, but it does set us up for being able to have that conversation day in and day out. Anytime he's in those positions where there is a chance that he would get hit on this play. Okay, well, let's talk through what is going to trigger you to make that decision.
Can you see a difference in Camorio right now from whenever he came in the program in the spring?
Yeah, I mean, I think he came in like maybe 200 pounds, 195 pounds. He's 225 every day right now. So physically, you can definitely see a difference. And then he came in as a 17-year-old kid. So there's obviously a maturation process. His first year in college, first time being away from home, and he's done a great job of
Flapjack, some of those guys. What are your expectations of that group?
Same thing, basically just trying to figure out how they're going to be able to help us, where they're going to be able to help us at. Blake's played a lot of ball obviously in a different conference, but he's played a lot of snaps, probably one of the most experienced guys in the group. And then you talk about like Zach, him coming in from there, hasn't played a lot, but I got familiarity with him from the other place. And, you know, so it's really about all these guys, man. Like you just said there, just trying to find out, you know, who can help us, where they can help us, and how fast can they help us. So trying to find the first, you know, 6, 7, 8 guys that are going to be able to, that we can count on. You know, if it's more than that, great, but we got to get at least to there.
You spend a lot of time with Zach. I mean, obviously a highly rated guy coming out of high school, and you know he's been to a couple different spots. You spend a lot of time with him. Like I said, what have you seen from him that you feel like he can really help you guys moving forward?
I mean, he has some versatility inside as well. I think he can play tackle eventually. He knows what he needs to do to be able to play tackle for me, but I think he has a chance to be able to play tackle at some point. Right now, I think he can help us out at either guard spot. You know, his size alone is a plus in this league. He's going to help us out when we face some of those bigger interior guys. And then also his you know his work ethic. You know, I've seen him. I've worked with him over the last year, and he's a grinder, and he's going to grind. He's one of those guys who I'm going to count on to lead in the room as well.
How did that process work of you coming here from Colorado and joining Mississippi State?
It was, I mean, after the season. You know, I mean, obviously me and Coach Levy have a long history together. A lot of the guys here I've coached with in the past as well. So it was just, you know, after the season and everything went the way it went, and now I'm here. So
it's kind of the nature of the game now that positions, you know, year to year are going to have different guys who haven't played together before. At a position group where it's maybe more important than any other, what goes into getting those guys gelling and, you know, firing on all cylinders from day one?
Yeah, we just got to spend a lot of time together. You know, last year I took, you know, 6 guys out of the portal over there, and so I'm used to doing it a little bit, but I think you're exactly right as far as, you know, wanting guys to be able to gel together and looking forward to that, obviously, but the more time we spend together, the better. You know, just trying to get everybody on the same page so we're moving in the right direction, and we've been working towards that since I got here. So
There's a lot of X's and O's, and obviously recruiting being a part of it, but what would you say is your favorite part about being a coach?
Working with the guys, like just being around the guys every day kind of gives me that feeling like I'm in the meeting room again, like I'm in the locker room, being around them, seeing them grow. My favorite part would probably be seeing them grow, seeing guys take the next step. You know, when you got a freshman coming in and you get to see him be a sophomore, junior, senior, whatever it may be, you know, and they call you and it's draft day, like that's pretty exciting. You know what I mean? Like talking to Tyler Guyton last year when he got drafted, and remembering the time that I spoke to him and his dad, you know, when he first got to where we were at, you know, that right there, it makes it all worth it for me. So that's my favorite part of it.
All MPW digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital. We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit easyhempco.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. Easy is for people 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly.